It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine, Rugged Point Lodge on Vancouver Island, and Northwest Fishing Guides out of our hometown here in Everett. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
We've got another great Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio this week. We're going to talk to Jim Stahl, as usual, with Northwest Fishing Guides. That's right, he is the Everett-based fishing guide who's been doing a lot of fishing at Buoy 10. But he's moving on to a new place, and he'll tell you where in just a couple of minutes. Matt Gaget with Rugged Point Lodge has got some good news about the coho salmon off the west coast of Vancouver Island, a species which has been very hard to come by for most anglers this summer. And we're talking to Keith Eschbaugh. He's the owner of Dutch Fork Lures. He's going to tell you about the unique ghost blades he's come up with that as a walleye angler or a muskie angler or a salmon angler, you're going to want to have. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about what's hot in the Pacific Northwest. Elk hunting season opened up for archers this morning and continues through the 22nd. According to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, the local hot spots will be Game Management Units 454 Issaquah area and 460 Snoqualmie area. Any elk can be harvested in the Issaquah GMU, but there's a 3-point minimum for the Snoqualmie GMU. A lot of these elk hang out on private land, so make sure you have permission to hunt there before you go. Archery hunters have been after deer since September 1st and will continue their efforts through this month. But if you're a rifle hunter and you don't mind working for your deer, the High Buck Hunt opens September 15th in select GMUs in the Cascade Mountains. If you're a trout angler, consider taking a road trip to Mayfield Lake near Mossy Rock in Lewis County. Tacoma Power has released 8,000 trout in 2 batches there over the last couple of weeks, which should equate to some very good fall fishing. Finally, if you are hankering for salmon in the saltwater, head to Willapa Bay. Tony Floor with the Northwest Marine Trade Association reports a forecasted run of 40,000 kings there means you can keep up to 4 salmon a day. 2 places to fish, according to Tony, the Navigational Channel from Toke Point east from markers 2 to 26, and during a flood tide, the region known as Washaway Beach east to Toke Point will also produce Chinook and coho salmon. Before you head to Willapa, though, check the regs for emergency changes. And now it's time to talk to Jim Stahl with Northwest Fishing Guides. Jim, where are you heading next?
We're going to keep following the Kings Upriver, and our next fishery will be Drano Lake, and then after that we'll be at the mouth of the Klickitat, and both of them will be for fall Chinook.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because I know in the past, when you were fishing the mouth of the Klickitat in September, it was for coho, because they were thick in there, but this year not so much.
Yeah, and it's the coho have been, everybody's worried about them, and there's a lot less of them this year, so we're really going to key in on the fall kings. There's something about when you say kings to people, it intrigues them and gets them excited, so that's the main selling point.
Well, I'll tell you what, I spend some time at a place called Fish Camp every year, and I get to fish the Klickitat, I get to fish the Deschutes, and the Columbia off the mouth of Klickitat, and the fall Chinook the last couple of years. It's been great fishing up there.
Yeah, correct, and that's part of the reason without having a Puget Sound fishery for the coho this year and not having them in the rivers, I decided just to move the trailer from Astoria to up there to Stevenson and just keep following them upriver.
Well, I think it's a sound strategy, and here's the next question. Do you have any openings?
We do. I don't know them for sure, but if anybody emails us, we can send you a list of the dates available. I know we have a couple weekend dates still available, but Jen will be happy to get you information. Just give her an email, and we can go from there.
All right, and the place to do so is at their website. It's nwfishingguides.net. nwfishingguides.net is the place to go to book your trip for fall Chinook, either at Drano or the mouth of the Klickitat. And I'll tell you what, the Columbia Gorge in September, beautiful place to fish, and you're going to get into a lot of fish too. Jim, thanks as always.
Yep, thank you.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Looking for a way to get the message out about your business to hunters and anglers throughout the Seattle and Everett area? Then consider advertising with America Outdoors Radio on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO. To find out more, contact John Cruz through his website at americaoutdoorsradio.com.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We start off the show by welcoming some more new listeners on board, this time from the great state of Alaska. KBYR AM 700 in Anchorage and also broadcasting in Prudhoe Bay is now carrying our show that is sponsored by the Alaska Sporting Journal, California Sportsman Magazine, Northwest Sportsman Magazine, and the American Shooting Journal. We are glad to have you on board. And I promise you're going to get some Alaska content during this hour, too. I'd like to start off the show by giving a shout out to whom some call the Thin Green Line. You may call them park rangers, game wardens, or fish and wildlife officers, but the fact of the matter is, they work hard to make sure our woods and waters are safe and also do their best to make sure our resources, whether it be habitat or fish and wildlife, are protected from vandals, poachers, and people doing things in the woods they should not be doing. It's a calling that doesn't get the appreciation it should, and it's dangerous work too. In the past few weeks, a California Fish and Game officer in Humboldt County was attempting to contact some suspected poachers jacklighting game when he was shot at multiple times. Fortunately, he was not injured, and unfortunately, the suspects got away and have yet to be identified. As bad as that is, things can get much worse. I vividly remember attending the memorial service for Christine Fairbanks, a U.S. Forest Service law enforcement officer killed during a routine traffic stop in Washington State several years ago. That's the same state a National Park Service ranger was killed at while serving at Mount Rainier National Park. Idaho lost 2 game wardens in 1981 after a self-styled mountain man named Claude Dallas shot them to death, and just last year, an Oklahoma game warden checking the fishing licenses of 3 subjects had his head held underwater in a pond and nearly drowned before he was able to shoot and kill the man trying to kill him. The men and women who are in this career path generally work alone in remote places, and when it comes to hunting season, everyone they meet is armed. So, the next time you run into one of these unsung heroes, let them know you appreciate their efforts and what they do. I think it helps to hear that from time to time. Moving on to this week's show, we've got another great hour of fishing, hunting, and the shooting sports coming your way. Well-known gun writer Dave Workman will join us to give us an idea of what kind of gun and ammo control measures are on the near horizon or already taking place on the West Coast, also known as the left coast of the United States. Dave has also got some really interesting facts to share about how big of a problem gun violence is, or should I say, isn't, in the United States today when you look at the homicide rates around the nation. After we talk to Dave, we'll check in with Josh Schwartz. He's with Mepps Lure Company. They make some great trout spinners, and quite a few of them have squirrel tail hair on them. That's why Mepps has had a long-running program where they will actually pay you to send them the tails off of any squirrels you shoot while you're out hunting. Josh will give you all the details. Sticking with fishing, we'll tell you about a unique salmon fishery taking place both now and in the winter. It's the Blackmouth Salmon Fishery, and the waters around the San Juan Islands in northwest Washington are a beautiful place to find them. Kelly Hawley with Tom and Jerry's Boat Center will fill you in about that. We've got our usual assortment of outdoors news for you, a new Trail of Shame segment featuring some vandals in Oregon we hope you can help us identify, and information about the Great American Shoot taking place on September 24th near Newhall, California, and the great organization it benefits, the Special Forces Charitable Trust. That's right, our U.S. Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets, and their families. But first, with our new Alaska affiliate KBYR in mind, we thought we'd head to Homer, where one heck of a halibut fishing derby is going on right now. We thought we'd check in with Karen Zach. She's the executive director of the Homer Chamber of Commerce, and that's the organization that hosts the Homer Jackpot Halibut Derby. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
So tell our listeners about the Homer Jackpot Halibut Derby. This is a really big deal.
It is a really big deal. It's been running since 1986, so we're celebrating our 30th year here in Homer with the Jackpot Halibut Derby. It's actually the longest-running derby in Alaska with the largest prize.
And why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners about the prizes, because they are pretty darn impressive.
They are. We actually tag fish. So at the beginning of the season, in the first week of May, we'll go out fishing, and we we'll take halibut out of the bay and tag it with a little short string that goes through their gills, and we put 115 tags in the water all over Ketchimek Bay. And those tags are worth $250, $500, and $1,000. So if you catch a tag, then you actually can redeem it for a 2016 tag for the value of the tag that year. But the great thing is anyone who catches a tag goes into the pool. We have a secret number that's pulled for 2 large prizes. So not only do they win the value of the fish, but then they go into, for GCI, sponsors a $50,000 tag fish out there.
Wow.
So one of those tags this year that we have, which have 13 2016 tags right now, once we call in the number, they could be a $50,000 winner. And we also have Stanley Ford, Stanley Chrysler have a vehicle tag fish worth a $35,000 credit towards a vehicle. So that's just the tag fish. If you catch a tag fish a previous year, we'll give you $100. And then we have the jackpot prize, which is for the largest halibut of the season.
And what is that prize?
That prize is based on the ticket sales.
Okay.
So typically, minimum 10,000 to 15,000 tickets are sold. So they get a minimum of $10,000 plus 50 cents for every ticket sold. So it could be 15 to 20 on up. It just depends on how many tickets we sell for the year. But usually between $15,000 and $20,000 would be for the largest fish of the season. And so far this year, our fish that is the leader is 252.2. Austin Nelson from North Pole, Alaska, caught that on August 17th. And unfortunately, we had someone who did not have a $10 Derby ticket. And that's the prize, $10 in the Derby. And with a 348.6 on July 22nd. And Patrick Schimpf was from Germany and did not have a Derby ticket. So,
and he is kicking himself all the way back to Europe for not having that $10 ticket, isn't he? Jeez.
Exactly. So, and last year, the prize was taken, 2015, Linda Scott won with 224 pounds. So there are people that catch larger fish, but they don't have a Derby ticket. So, again, this year we're at 252.2. We still have until September 15th. So it starts on May 15, runs through September 15, so there's still time to fish and get your name in the pot. And the largest fish I actually ever caught was 376 pounds, and that was caught in 1996. We do request catch and release if you're not going to be the largest fish and you catch a big fish. We actually have a released prize, so if you return a fish 48 inches or more, you'll be entered into a drawing for $1,000 at the end of the season. So we do condone that you put those big fish back. We also have Catch a Lefty. There's actually what are called a left-handed halibut.
Really?
The eyes and the gills are on the other side. And we just had someone catch one last week, and he won $100. We've got kids' prizes. So there's all types of ways to win cash money here in Ketchimek Bay.
Wow. Well, Karen, we are running short on time, but folks, there is still time to participate. You've got till September 15th to buy your $10 ticket and go fishing. See if you can get the biggest halibut out there or one of those tagged fish that could get you $50,000. To find out more, go to homeralaska.org and go to the events page, or just go ahead and look up the Homer Jackpot Halibut Derby on Facebook. You can get details there as well. There are some big fish and some big prizes to be had in Homer, Alaska. So head on up there and have some fun. Karen, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Planning to head outdoors today? The National Shooting Sports Foundation reminds you to check the fire danger levels in your area. Whether target shooting, camping, or even parking a car with a hot exhaust, remember to take precautions. As we know, wildfires have many possible causes. Don't be one of them.
Experience the spirit of Homer, Alaska at the Salty Dog Saloon. Opened in 1956, the Salty Dog is a must-visit historical landmark for locals and tourists alike, offering beer, wine, spirits, and of course, Salty Dog souvenirs. Check out the ceiling of the saloon. You'll find thousands of dollar bills tacked up there on the walls, personalized by all the patrons. The Salty Dog Saloon, the perfect place after a long day of fishing to grab a beer, chat up a local, and enjoy a one-of-a-kind Alaskan experience.
Would you like to own your own piece of recreational or rural property? Neho Land is British Columbia's leading expert in recreational and rural land. Whether you're looking for a 5-acre recreational retreat or a 1,000-acre trophy property to enjoy or leave as a legacy to your family, Neho has a property for you. Spectacular British Columbia has no restrictions on non-Canadian ownership. Visit Neho.com to find the property right for you. Remember, don't wait to buy land. Buy land and then wait. Invest now. Niho.com. Neho.com.
Kickies is a family and veteran-owned company that has been producing the best shotgun and rifle recoil pads for over 30 years. All of our Kickies products are made in the USA, and ours are the only recoil pads made exclusively of sorbothane, the finest cushioning material available. Our recoil pads deflect energy in all directions, greatly taming even the hardest kicking guns so you can shoot without bruising or pain. With hunting season around the corner, isn't it time for you to find out how to stop the kick? Find out more at kickiesproducts.com.
It's time for summer, and you need to be ready. So stop in at any Oxark store to find all of the summer supplies you need for your yard, home, farm, or business. Oxark has gloves, first aid kits, safety glasses, and even a full line of industrial tools. And don't forget, it's time for Gatorade and Igloo coolers. So this summer, be ready and stop by any Oxark or shop online at oxark.com. Want a trip with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Kickies is a family and veteran-owned company that has been producing the best shotgun and rifle recoil pads for over 30 years. All of our Kickies products are made in the USA, and ours are the only recoil pads made exclusively of sorbothane, the finest cushioning material available. Our recoil pads deflect energy in all directions, greatly taming even the hardest kicking guns so you can shoot without bruising or pain. With hunting season around the corner, isn't it time for you to find out how to stop the kick? Find out more at kickiesproducts.com.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It's a publication that covers firearms and the shooting sports throughout the United States of America. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of the shooting sports and firearms, we got a special guest for you. It's Dave Workman. He is a regular columnist when it comes to firearms for Northwest Sportsman Magazine. He's also the senior editor of GunMag.com, and he works with the Second Amendment Foundation. Dave, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, at my age, it's always nice to be on a show, you know.
Indeed.
Fool around.
Well, I thought we would take the next few minutes and talk about the bills, the petitions, the legislative efforts affecting your gun rights along what we like to call the left coast in Washington, in Oregon, in California. And I guess we'll start off with the state you and I call home, Washington State. What's going on this fall that can affect our rights as gun owners?
Well, of course, there's an election coming up, and we've got a choice between two people running for governor. Jay Inslee, the incumbent, he's got a pretty bad track record on gun rights. Bill Bryant, who's running against him, hasn't really talked a lot about firearms, but if you take a look at Bryant and the people running for the legislature, I think the important thing that a lot of gun owners are talking about is that if they retain some kind of control of the House or get Republican control of the legislature this year, that could be a good thing for gun owners. And also the state Supreme Court elections are coming up, too. And I really encourage gun owners in this state to pay close attention to who's running for the state Supreme Court, because we do have one of the strongest state constitutional provisions on the right to keep and bear arms, along with, ever since 2010, courtesy of the McDonald ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, the Second Amendment has been incorporated to the states. So we've got to pay real close attention to retaining the protections that we have and maybe strengthening them.
Well, I agree with you, Dave, and I can tell you from my previous experience as a law enforcement officer for 24 years that the Washington State Supreme Court is very much a left-leaning Supreme Court and also an activist court. So its current makeup, quite frankly, is a little bit dangerous. But let's move on to Oregon, where there's a governor down there that's got all sorts of plans when it comes to firearms.
Yeah, and the plans aren't really good either. This is a situation where in the Pacific Northwest, Ceasefire Oregon and Washington Ceasefire recently teamed up to announce that they're going to be pushing legislation next year, starting in January, to ban so-called assault weapons. I think that this is kind of a trial balloon. It's meant to establish a grievance so that when the legislation fails in the legislature, which I think it's almost destined to fail in both Salem and Olympia, it'll give the anti-gunners an opportunity to try to push for public initiatives on the ballot in 2017 to ban these no-good black guns. I anticipate that the governors of both states will think that this is just a swell idea, while the people who own those firearms in Oregon and Washington will not think too much of that at all. And here again, you've got an opportunity to have a voice because the elections are coming up in Oregon too. The House of Representatives in both Washington and Oregon are both up for grabs.
Right.
The Washington State Senate, the Oregon State Senate. A few votes could change things in both states. And that's why I always encourage sportsmen to make sure that they're registered to vote and to make sure that they vote. In Washington, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is fill out a card or your ballot and stick it in the mail.
Right.
And I'm stunned at the number of people who don't do that. It's embarrassing. And this year, believe me, it's for all the marbles. So fill out your ballots and send them in.
We're talking to Dave Workman. He's the senior editor for GunMag.com, and he works with the Second Amendment Foundation. We're talking about legislation, bills, petitions that can affect your rights as a gun owner along the West Coast. So we've talked a little bit about Washington, Oregon. Getting back to ceasefire.org and the assault weapons ban, I think it's important for people to know how this organization is defining an assault weapon. It's not the classic AR-style rifle necessarily, is it?
No, it's really not. Look at what they're going to be talking about. And I think that it might alarm some people. Of course, I'll give them credit for this. They have learned from their past mistakes, and they try to narrow down the definitions a little bit to make it appear as though that they're after just AR-type rifles or SKSs, or you take your pick. But the notion that these firearms are a threat is just preposterous. I recently wrote stories in both Liberty Park Press and the Gun Mag, and we'll talk about Liberty Park Press here in a second, that according to the FBI statistics, rifles of any kind, and that includes these so-called assault rifles, which we call modern sporting rifles,
right,
they are used in a fraction of the homicides that happen around the country. They're limited to a couple of 100, 300 a year, thereabouts, when there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 homicides in the country every year. We don't have 33,000 deaths annually from so-called gun violence. Most of those, about two-thirds of them, are suicides. And the anti-gunners always lump those in with the homicide numbers to make it look like we've got some kind of a plague going on where so-called gun violence happens. Gun violence, more people are stabbed to death and are beaten to death in this country than are shot with rifles or shotguns. And I've never heard anybody talking about fist violence or knife violence. It's only just gun violence. And I think maybe we can't fall into that trap and start using their
language. I agree.
We've got to use our own.
Nope, you're right. Dave, we are starting to run short on time, but before we do, got to check in with the state of California. Always something interesting going on there when it comes to anti-gun legislation. What about this fall?
Well, I'm not too sure if there's anything really going on this fall except for the election, and the elections are going to determine what California does. This year they've adopted legislation, and they want to really turn the screws on people. You've got to do a background check to buy ammunition down there when the law takes effect. Now, that is just nonsense.
Wow.
In fact, Kim Rhode, who was our medalist down in Rio, lives down there, and she did an interview with one of the publications here a few weeks ago, and where she openly complains. She says, hey, this is going to make it impossible for me, or very difficult for me to go out and practice what I do, to go out and represent the United States so well. And she really laid it on the line, and I thought that was very refreshing for somebody of her stature to come out and say, hey, this is a law that's just plain stupid.
Right. There you go. As always, there's a lot going on, and this is just the West Coast. We've got listeners in other states as well, so pay attention to what's going on your ballot this year. Make an informed choice, and make sure you protect your Second Amendment rights. Dave, thanks as always for being on the show. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure, John. Nice chatting with you.
Kickies is a family and veteran-owned company that has been producing the best shotgun and rifle recoil pads for over 30 years. All of our Kickies products are made in the USA, and ours are the only recoil pads made exclusively of sorbothane, the finest cushioning material available. Our recoil pads deflect energy in all directions, greatly taming even the hardest kicking guns so you can shoot without bruising or pain. With hunting season around the corner, isn't it time for you to find out how to stop the kick? Find out more at kickiesproducts.com.
The 106th Pendleton Roundup kicks off September 14th and runs through the 17th in Pendleton, Oregon. Come watch top cowboys compete on a historic grass infield where the chutes are made of wood and the riders are made of iron. You can also enjoy an authentic Old West experience, genuine hospitality, a teepee village, parades, PBR, 100 years of the Happy Canyon Indian Pageant, along with lots of Western shopping. Tickets are available now for all events at PendletonRoundup.com. Let her buck.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time to talk to Matt Gaget again with Rugged Point Lodge on the northwest coast of Vancouver Island. Matt, last week when we talked, you told me that towards the end of the season you got a good run of coho, and that's really good news because coho have been really scarce all up and down the west coast this year.
Yeah, they've been very scarce here. There's been pockets of them throughout the season, but no consistent fishery for them. But just in the last week, it's really picked up. And they're big. I haven't seen big coho like this in a long time.
Well, that's really good to hear, because I know in Puget Sound to the south of you last year, people were getting silvers, they were getting pinks, but they were abnormally small. So to hear you getting the big northern coho, that means they've been feeding well, and that bodes well, hopefully for next year. So this is really good news. What kind of tactics do you use on the coho? Is it the exact same way that you catch the Chinook?
Well, you get them when you're fishing for Chinook on anchovies. And then when I move out a little bit and key on the coho, I switch down from a large flasher down to a small flasher, and I put on the smaller needlefish size hoochies, make it a little bit more fun.
Any color in particular work for you up there?
The one we call the Halloweeny, which is glow and orange and black, and the tiger prawn colors. It's the typical red and white glow that this time of year that it seems to turn them on.
Well, there you go, folks. Good news from the northwest coast of Vancouver Island. The coho are here. If you want to book a trip for next year at Rugged Point Lodge, go to their website. It's ruggedpointlodge.com. That's ruggedpointlodge.com, offering great fishing off of Vancouver Island. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, John. Take care.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the Alaska Sporting Journal. It is the publication covering hunting, fishing, and all of the outdoors in the great state of Alaska. Look for it at a newsstand near you. We are going to talk squirrels. That's right, squirrels, with Josh Schwartz. He's with Mepps Lure Company, and if you haven't fished with Mepps spinners before, you are missing out. I am over 50 years old, but the first spinners I ever fished, casting in the Poudre River, casting into rivers in the Northwest, was a Mepps spinner, and they work great, and they catch fish. I've caught trout, I've caught steelhead, I've caught all sorts of fish on Mepps spinners, and one thing they have on quite a few of their spinners are squirrel tails. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John.
So I got to ask, squirrel tails, it's kind of a hallmark of Mepps spinners, but why do you have squirrel tails versus other material on your spinners?
Well, a lot of other animal tails have fur, and that doesn't pulsate in the water like squirrel hair does. So just the way that the squirrel hair moves in the water makes it attractive to fish, in a way that no other animal tails do.
Now, Mepps Lure Company, you actually reach out to hunters and ask them to send you squirrel tails, and actually you just sent out a press release regarding this very thing. How does this program work?
Well, it works where we let folks know that we're always looking for squirrel tails, and then we, on our website, we have a mepps.com/squirrels, and it lists what we pay for each squirrel, and we recommend folks send squirrel tails in a shoebox. We found that works out well over the years, and we ask that dried tails can be sent anytime during the year. And dried tails, we recommend using salt and salt the butt end of the tail where there's flesh. Frozen tails are best sent in the cold months of the year, from February until March.
All right, and that we're going to get into that a little bit more in a second. But first off, the kind of squirrels tails that you accept, because I'm guessing, for example, if I was to send you, I'm just purely hypothetical here, I don't even know if there is a chipmunk season anywhere, but if I sent you a bunch of chipmunk tails, that's not going to cut it, is it?
No, those tails are a little too small, and hard to handle when cutting the hair off that. It's too short. So gray, fox, black squirrels, red squirrels, a little smaller of a squirrel, but those tails are still have enough hair that to be at least an inch long for a red squirrel to be sent in.
And when it comes to packaging, like you said, there's frozen and then there's dry. So let's just say I've gone squirrel hunting. I got my shoebox. I'm going to salt the ends of the squirrels, and that's all I have to do packaging-wise, just put them in the shoebox and wrap it up and ship it to you?
So besides that's a good question. We ask that the bone be left in the squirrel tail, and we ask that they're laid flat. The flatter they are, they're not going to curl or twist as they're drying.
So here's another question for you. Where do most of your squirrel tails come from? I'm guessing there's certain states where you tend to see more than others.
Yeah, I'd say Alabama, Kentucky. We do get some from Pennsylvania.
But you'll take them anywhere that you'll
Correct.
get them from the U.S.?
Correct.
All right. We have got to go pretty quick here, but before we do, folks, if you are interested in not just squirrel hunting, which is a ton of fun, but making a little money on top of that, check out the Squirrel Tail program from Mepps Lure Company and get some shoe boxes and get ready to send them over there. You'll be rewarded for your efforts, and you just might see your squirrel tail on the tail end of a Mepps spinner. Anything else you want to add, Josh?
Would like to mention, too, that we do buy squirrel tails, and we also trade squirrel tails for lures. And trading for lures, the cash value is doubled.
Well, and being a Mepps spinner aficionado myself, that's probably what I would do. So thanks so much for that, Josh. We will talk to you soon, and I'm heading out to the river. I'm going to cast for some steelhead, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using a Mepps spinner to do it.
Thanks.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, we're heading to Northwest Washington, Mount Vernon, as a matter of fact. That's where Tom and Jerry's boat dealership is, and Kelly Hawley, who likes to fish the San Juan Islands near there for blackmouth salmon, is joining us. Kelly, great to have you back on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Kelly, we've added a few new stations and some new listeners since we last talked, and some of them are not very familiar with the San Juan Islands or exactly what a blackmouth salmon is. Why don't you go ahead and explain that?
Well, a blackmouth is, let's first start out where we're at. If you go to Washington, you go to the coast, and you go up north, right near the Canadian border, that's the San Juan Islands. So we can actually go out off of San Juan Island. We can look over into Vancouver Island and Victoria and some of those areas. It's not that far away, actually. And it's usually pretty good fishing, too. The blackmouth is typically what we call a winter fishery, and as we're going to be getting into fairly soon. And a blackmouth is just an immature Chinook, is all it is. And they're great fish. They typically don't get real big. You very seldom see a 30-pounder. Usually you're going to see in that 8 to 15-pound range, but a few 20s in there here and there. So, and those are usually the ones that win the derbies that we do in the wintertime. So it's a great fishery.
Well, there's a couple things to talk about here. Number one, folks, if you haven't been to the San Juan Islands before, it's an absolutely beautiful place to fish. You've got all these islands. A lot of them are uninhabited. You've got killer whales that are going to be servicing near you while you're fishing. It's just an absolute hoot and just beautiful place to spend time on the water. And for those that don't know, Puget Sound has had a rough year this year. Typically in September, people are targeting coho salmon, but the coho stocks are not doing well at all to the point where coho fishing is closed. So in September, you do have the option for blackmouth. And have they been catching any at all lately, Kelly?
You know, it's been kind of slow over the last month or so, but this weekend we did see a little action. One of the guys here, he picked up about a 31-pound Chinook.
Nice.
Out here off of Orcas Island, so that was pretty good. He said he lost another one yesterday. Talked to a couple other people that picked up a couple of the smaller Chinook in that 10, 12-pound range, and we've seen a few of those. So it's been okay. I think this last little spot of rain is bringing the fish a little bit closer into the rivers. So it's that time of year where they're going to start going up. Matter of fact, the Samish River, which is just a teeny tiny little river over here, it's packed with Chinook right now, and that is a great fishery. So it's kind of combat fishing. It's wall-to-wall people, but when it starts out, it's a lot of fun.
Let's go ahead and head back to the saltwater. When it comes to fishing for blackmouth in the San Juans, and we'll talk about fall right now, you know, what's the drill in terms of catching them?
Most of the people right now, you're going to see a lot of trolling. Back in the day, there used to be a lot of mooching or motor mooching, jigging, but now you have to cover so much area, to find the fish. Because let's face it, it's not like it was 30, 40 years ago. So now it's a way that you troll, you use downriggers, you get your line down there, typically using a flasher and a squid, or what some people will call a hoochie. Sometimes people are using a cut plug herring and trolling that behind. And typically you're fairly deep. You're right near the bottom. If you're in that 90, 100 feet deep water, then that's where you're fishing at 85, 90 feet. So that seems to be about where they're hanging out.
Well, I'll tell you what, it does sound like there's some chances for success. Again, you can't find a nicer place to fish in the saltwater than around the San Juan Islands in September. And if you need more information, or maybe you need a boat to go ahead and enjoy this, or service on your motor before you hit the water, you need to go to Tom and Jerry's in Mount Vernon. It's not far away from that fishery at all. What's your exact location, and what's a website we can send people to?
We're at tomandjerrys.net. You can reach us there, just Tom, N as in Nancy, jerrys.net, and that has a map on there. We are right on the saltwater. We're right on the Sunamish Channel and Highway 20. You can see our boats out there. We've got a huge selection. Give us a call. Let us know if we can help you out, whether it's in sales or service. We're happy to help.
Kelly, always a pleasure to talk to you, and hope to hear about some success on the water from you, too.
All right. Well, I hope to get out there a little bit more than I have been, that's for sure.
Hi, I'm Craig Boddington. I've written about hunting for 40 years, much of it in bear country. I trust my life to bear spray because the research is in. It stopped bears 92% of the time and prevented injury 98% of the time. Bear spray requires less accuracy and won't harm your companions or the bear. Carry bear spray in bear country. Keep it accessible and practice.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Lance Campers makes the ideal base camp for all of your outdoor adventures. We've been in business for over 50 years, and we specialize in making quality, lightweight campers for your pickups as well as trailers you can tow. If you own a half-ton truck, you'll want to check out our new 650 truck camper, made especially for half-ton short bed pickups. Find out more at an RV dealer near you, and be sure to check out the entire product line at lancecamper.com. Lance Campers, quality campers for you.
RVs and boats are not cheap, yet yours is getting hammered by rain, snow, falling branches, tree sap, and UV fading. So what can you do? Protect it with an all-steel Northwest metal cover. Right now, a 12 by 31 by 12-foot cover is only $19.99. Made in America and built for the Northwest with reinforced braces and a heavy-gauge, hot-dipped, galvanized steel frame. Just $19.99 to protect your investment in your boat or RV. Call All Steel Northwest at 360-277-0200.
It's time for summer, and you need to be ready. So stop in at any Oxark store to find all of the summer supplies you need for your yard, home, farm, or business. Oxark has gloves, first aid kits, safety glasses, and even a full line of industrial tools. And don't forget, it's time for Gatorade and Igloo coolers. So this summer, be ready and stop by any Oxark or shop online at oxark.com.
Waterfowl season is quickly approaching, and the Sauvie Island Duck Club is the place to be. Just 10 miles northwest of Portland, Sauvie Island is a hub for wintering populations of ducks and geese, making it an ideal location for hunters. Sauvie Island Duck Club offers day, month, and year-long memberships, and they are open 7 days a week for all of your waterfowling needs. Spots are still open for fall, so contact them now for prices and reservations. Find out more at siduckclub.com. That's siduckclub.com.
D.M. Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops or go to our website at dmbullard.com. That's dmbullard.com for the best leather you will ever have.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication that covers hunting, fishing, and more throughout the great state of California. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of California, we've got an event coming up September 23rd through the 25th in Newhall, California. It's the Great American Shoot. It is benefiting the Special Forces Charitable Trust. And with us here to tell us more about it is the Executive Director for that organization, David Guernsey. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John, for having me. I appreciate being on the air with you.
So, David, tell me about the Great American Shoot. What is this competition all about?
The Great American Shoot will actually take place on the 24th. You did mention the 23rd to the 25th. The 24th is the shoot. It is at Oak Tree Gun Club, and there are 20 teams competing in the shoot. Each team consists of 5 people and 1 sixth man from the Special Operations community. You mentioned that it's to benefit the Special Forces Charitable Trust, but it's a little bit broader spectrum. It's the Special Forces Charitable Trust and the Special Operations community. The Special Operations community are SEALs, Green Berets, the Marines, and the Air Force. All have special operation components.
Yes, they do, and I think it's wonderful that this shoot is going to benefit them. But tell me how the shoot works. Is this sporting clays? Is this a rifle competition?
It's sporting clays. So each team member has 50 clays to shoot over 20 stations. And I think I have the math right there. But anyway, you have 50 clays, sporting clays that you have to hit. Each team commits to raising $50,000. That can either be, you can go and support a shooter and pledge so much per sporting clay that's hit, or you can write a check for the amount of money, whatever works for you. The interesting thing about this competition is really not a competition of shooting, because shooting is all about the fun. At the end, it's about raising funds. And the top 5 teams get to share 50% of the pot. 50% goes to the SFCT, and 50% goes to the teams of the 5 top fundraising teams. Team number 1 gets 30% of the pot, then 25, 20, 15, and 10. And that 30% goes to the charity of their choice. So last year it went to Stay in Step, which is started by a Special Forces gentleman down in Tampa. We have support other special operations charities around the country. Now, Teams 3, 4, and 5 last year shot for the Special Forces Charitable Trust. Team 6 was shooting for Marine. They didn't make the top 5 fundraising. So it really is about raising the funds, and the shoot is about celebrating the fun and going out and having a great time.
Well, this sounds fantastic. And we've got about a minute left, but I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about the Special Forces Charitable Trust and what this trust does.
The trust has been in existence for 6 years. We have 3 areas that we support: family and community, education, motivation, and veterans and heritage. Our website is specialforcescharitabletrust.org, and there's a lot more information there. If you want to support somebody on the TGAS, we call it Great American Shoot. The website is TGAS, TGAS.dojiggy, DOJIGGY.com. Pick a participant, and there's more information there as well.
And another website you can check out, too, is just greatamericansshoot.org. That's greatamericansshoot.org. That'll tell you all about this competition taking place September 24th in Newhall, California. And you'll learn information about the Special Forces Charitable Trust as well. David, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the time.
From Newhall, California, we head north to the Oregon coast to meet this week's inductees on our Trail of Shame.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
From multiple media outlets, we learn about a video distributed on social media last weekend showing vandals toppling the iconic pedestal rock at Cape Kiwanda on the northern Oregon coast. David Callis of Hillsboro shot the video and told the media he was with some friends when they went to the rock formation. Callis said a group of 8 people, quote-unquote, came out of nowhere and started pushing on the rock. Callis said he started recording with a cell phone and caught the moments as the vandals toppled the pedestal rock. The pedestal sits behind fences warning about trespassing onto the dangerous cape. It's been the subject of many photos ranging from weddings to visiting teens and families. Unfortunately, Callis did not immediately contact the police, and we don't know, at the moment at least, who these vandals are. However, the Oregon State Police and Oregon State Parks officials are investigating this act, and they definitely want to know. So, if you have any information as to who these moronic anti-nature thugs are who destroyed the iconic pedestal rock, notify the Oregon State Police or Oregon State Parks. These vandals not only need to face charges, but they also need to have their names engraved on our trail of shame.
Shame on you.
Let's turn our attention to some outdoors news brought to you this week by Jane Smart Realty, who has a fantastic property available in California that is a hunter's dream. It's located just west of Arbuckle, has 160 acres, 100% of it is fenced. There's 2 domestic wells, there's septic for a 4-bedroom house, and there's gorgeous views that vary depending upon which ridge you're standing on. It's minutes from the Colusa National Wildlife Refuge that is very well known for the duck hunting there, as well as wildlife watching and more. This is a really rare find. It's the outdoor sportsman's dream property. You can actually hunt on your own property for dove, pig, and deer, and it's more affordable than you think. Find out more by calling Jane Smart at 530-921-2102. That's 530-921-2102, or go to our website at janesmartrealty.com. That's janesmartrealty.com, the place to go for some California dreaming and a California sportsman's dream property. We top off our news with this story. Did you ever wonder what the top 3 bass lakes are in the country? The folks at Bassmaster.com have weighed in with their picks, and considering the fact that Bassmaster tournaments have been held all over the nation for decades, I think their opinion counts for something. The bronze medal goes to Clear Lake, which is north of Santa Rosa in California. This is a big body of water with over 43,000 acres, and it gets a good amount of fishing pressure. There's a good reason for that. A 16.3-pound largemouth bass was caught here in March, and a 3-day tournament this year had 31 bass weighing between 7 and 11 pounds that hit the scales before they were released back in the lake. Those are some impressive bruisers. The number 2 bass water this year is a pair of lakes, Lake Marion and Lake Moultrie. They're 2 of the Santee Cooper lakes in South Carolina. These lakes, covering 170,000 acres altogether, jumped all the way from number 29 last year to the silver medal level this year. The average bass caught by the tournament winner there this year weighed an impressive 6 pounds, and the big bass fishing was good right into May. And finally, the gold medal, the big trophy, the number 1 spot to fish in the nation is the reigning champion Toledo Bend Reservoir on the border of Texas and Louisiana. The 185,000-acre reservoir is known for really big bass. The biggest one caught this spring weighed over 14 pounds, and as of mid-May, 131 bass had been caught that weighed 10 pounds or better. Kevin Van Dam, perhaps the best-known bass angler on the planet, said, "There is no doubt this is the best big bass fishery in the nation right now." In other fishing news, we told you about the Homer Jackpot Halibut Derby earlier in the show, but there are some serious payouts for tournament winners south of the border, too. Perhaps the biggest payouts come from the Bisbee's fishing tournaments in Baja, Mexico, and we've got an example of where that occurred last month when owner Rick Twomley, fishing aboard his 60-foot Hatteras named name the Bull Rider, made a first and lasting impression by boating a 427-pound blue marlin on the first day of the 2016 Bisbee's East Cape Offshore Tournament. That fish, captured on a green and yellow Dorado lure after a 68-minute fight, earned Captain Lucas Peralta and the team the top payout of, get this, $340,701. The total purse among this year's 65 boat fleet was $543,825. Wow, that's a lot of tournament money to be had. We hope you enjoyed this weekend's broadcast. If you get a chance, follow us and like us on Facebook and go to our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. When you get there, you'll find a preview of next week's show and a podcast of last week's show, just in case you missed part of it. Another place to find us is on WRVO Radio. It's an internet station, and the channel, so to speak, is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. We are part of a 24/7 outdoors lineup. It's RenoViolaOutdoors.com, the home of WRVO Radio. Here's hoping the good Lord's going to bless you today and in the days ahead. This is a great month to be out, whether you are fishing, hunting, or at the range, so take advantage of it. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
We've got a product review for you, something very unique I think you anglers out there are going to be interested in. They are Ghost Blades. They're made by Dutch Fork Custom Lures out of Pennsylvania. We're talking with the owner about these, Keith Eschbach. Keith, I understand you got a background both as an artiste and also as a professional walleye angler.
Yes, I fished on the walleye circuit for 15 years, so I kind of know what the guys look for, and I have 2 diplomas and a degree in art and fine art. I put my art degree to use painting spinner blades.
Well, not only are you painting spinner blades, you're painting spinner blades with a material that most people are not used to seeing. I think everybody's used to seeing Colorado blades in metal, but I've never seen plastic before. Where did you come up with this idea, and what are the benefits of using a plastic spinner blade?
I wanted to do something a little different in the industry, and I wanted a spinner blade that would spin at a super slow speed. And we come up with a combination of different plastics and shapes, and they'll spin down to 0.4 mile an hour.
Wow, that is really slow. And as you know, folks, slow speed, especially for winter walleye, is critical if you're going to be getting fish in the boat. So I understand why you've done this. How did you come up with the idea, though, of plastic versus a metal blades? Is it just something that came to you, or had you seen it somewhere before?
Several companies came out with it in the 80s, but it was a big flop. They didn't work, and I don't think they put enough research into it. We put a lot of time and development and money into this, and we came up with it basically on our first try because we studied everything before we made our first molds.
The old measure twice, cut once principle. So is it a matter of the aerodynamics of the plastic blade? Is that why this works as opposed to those ones back in the 80s that didn't?
It's the aerodynamics, and it's also what it's made out of. It's a very durable construction. You can bend them completely in half. They will not break in half till you bend them 6 or 7 times, and the paints don't come off at all.
Well, let's talk about the paints on these Ghost Blades, because, I mean, you've got, 56 different colors, is that correct?
Yeah, we got 10 different sizes and 56 different colors in the blades.
I got to ask, where can people go ahead and find these Ghost Blades from Dutch Fork Custom Lures?
Well, if you go to our website, DutchForkCustomLures.com, we have a list of retailers, and we have quite a few retailers in the northwest section of the country.
There you go, folks. It's the Ghost Blade from Dutch Fork Custom Lures. Something really different, and I think it's probably worth a try. Looking for a way to get the message out about your business to hunters and anglers throughout the Seattle and Everett area? Then consider advertising with America Outdoors Radio on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO. To find out more, contact John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.